Yes, Roots. So, welcome, y'all, to the Cosmic Roots Show. Reality of one's true self is what Roots is standing for here, and it's the cosmic reality of one's true self, which is why it's called Cosmic Roots Show. So, greetings, one and all, and whoa, we've had a wonderful, yeah, summer, we can say, and there's been little changes, recently with the rain and so forth, but no complaining. It's still warm and all of that. And I love the sunshine. I love the warmth of the heat, the life. Give it heat, you know? It makes everything grow. The symbology of the sun is the life rays it gives to the planet, representing your soul, the life rays, yeah, the life force that your body is to be filled with vitality and health and so forth. So it's a wonderful, it's been wonderful days. At the same time, there's been a heavy surge, intense surge of a lot of these waves, cosmic waves, inner waves that, it permeates from the inside and then expresses itself, spreads out wide, outwardly. You see? So a lot of activities, a lot of affairs going on. And I was talking last Tuesday about the full moon that we had in Aquarius. And, well, as one thing occurs, then we move into another. It's all kind of escalating and it's all bringing up the changes or the transformation that needs to take place from the inside out. So, for that to occur, there's going to be resistance, right? There's going to be mental resistance. There's going to be a whole heap of, stuff coming up that cannot be suppressed or repressed anymore because we're dealing with a broader context of what's really happening, or the reality we're living in is not solid. It's pure energy and thought forms. Yeah, when we're talking about thought forms, these are what comes up from awareness. And when you identify with the thought forms, we then create our realities based around the beliefs we hold behind those thought forms that we identify with. So all of the changes taking place, all of these mental and emotional, psychological, emotional um, triggers, eruptions, things going on in the world, and so forth. It's like a purging. It's like, you know, to kind of make sense of what all these transits are doing and why certain things kick off at a particular time. And not everybody's going to experience it in the same way. That's the thing. But there is a collective energy where those who share the same kind of mental attitudes, putting out the same kind of maybe destructive, turbulent, fearful, type of energies, thoughts, or intentions, these kind of frequencies link up with other like-minded individuals, groups, anywhere in the world. And these energies actually go in to feed and amplify everybody who's on the same wavelength. Okay? So if it's destructive, if it's violent, if it's pain, if it's trauma, if it's, anger, rage, vengeance, all of that, if that's what those energies are coming from an individual, then they're supporting millions of other people who are on the same wavelength. And you then get this kind of collective field associated with that kind of group, those who are on that mental wavelength, okay? And therefore, all of that consciousness energy forms become amplified and manifested into physical experience or reality. So, I've gone into this because really it's like, I was talking to somebody briefly the other day after I did my show last Tuesday, and they asked me if I believe do I believe the moon's real, or if I don't believe that the moon is real. And sometimes people ask you questions and they may just be looking for a yes or no, and not all questions are just black and white like that, yes or no, yes or no. Because what is real, what's perceived to be as real to many people, is based on is based upon what's impermanent. You see, what is reality? You see, this is the thing. Many people don't realize that there's a science to themselves. Some people have called it mind science, which I don't agree with, because the mind is a servant for a higher and an origin that existed before the mind. Okay? So your mind is really a servant for consciousness, which is what you are. But when you're dealing with the mind and forms, your body and so forth, and emotions, you're dealing with what's existing within time and space, which have a beginning and have an ending. So when someone's asking, do I think if the moon is real, or when people ask you what is real or so forth, the thing is that we have the power to make whatever we identify with to be real. But real, let's go into what is reality or illusion. What is it based upon? A lot of us look at things based upon generations of conditioning of focusing on the exterior, right? I mentioned this a bit last Tuesday. And the objects we perceive, I'll use it this way, the objects we perceive, and based upon the five senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, tangible with your hands. These are what many of us use to interpret what we are saying is real, because you can touch a thing, because you can hear something, you can physically see something, you can smell something, you can taste something. These kind of sense translators, which is what they are, they're interpreting energy and information. And these are really just to help you function and get around in the physical world, okay, on the physical dimension. But we would say that because I can see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, touch it, that's what's real, okay? So we have this idea of reality that when we then ask a question do you think the moon is real, or do you think this is real, or even if, when people talk about more, the religious, the stories, those psychological dramas in the book, and then you have the character, Christ character, do you believe he was real? Did you believe if he existed? All of this idea about what is real, yeah? But what constitutes what is real and what constitutes that which is not is a question that needs to be asked to then receive, if you're receptive to that answer, to then, when you receive that answer, then that question that was asked to me before, which I said, they're asking me if a celestial body, what is called the moon, is real, or do I not think it's real? And the thing is, contrary to what material or physical science has for the last, how much 100 years, been informing society, informing people with, that shapes their perception of what they believe to be true or not true, when some scientific statement has been made, okay? Which then turns out, after a period of time, some years, to be what was considered to be facts turned out not to be as facts. For example, when it was growing up, science was just telling us that everything you see is solid, okay? What you're seeing is solid, and this physical reality is based on solidity, and matter is solid. But then over the, decades, that perception or that perspective has changed, because with quantum science, quantum physics, what we have now is really being taught now that matter is not solid. Matter is pure energy, okay? So science, it's like when we wait on science to tell us something, to so-called validate a new idea, without questioning whether the scientists are even correct in their theories, because usually a lot of the things that are promoted as facts from a scientific point of view, usually a lot of them have been theories without any experiment done to verify or validate one way or the other if what they were hypothesizing was true. But now, with the way science, the direction science is moving in, or we can say there's been a lot of research in the area of consciousness that has now just come out, seems to come out only within the last few decades, but really the investigation from certain scientists into the nature of consciousness and the nature of reality. This has been going on for quite a few hundred years from the Western perspective, okay? From the Western perspective. We know in antiquity, the age of antiquity, which means ancient times, this knowledge of energy and interconnectedness and oneness and consciousness and creation and the creator, and this integrated relationship, intimate relationship that we have with all aspects of life, this was known in ancient times. So science in modern day time is really not saying anything new. They're really just, if they're going along the right lines, they're in the right, upon the right path in these days and times, rather than just being very material, which is how it has been for decades. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, going into centuries. Then if it's the science that is moving away from that perception and moving into spirituality, they are coming up with realizations, and scientifically validated and verified for them. They're coming up with scientific realizations that are really confirming ancient truth. So it's not like anything in science today is bringing forth something that has never been known before. But from a Western point of view, based on the material preoccupation, then you can see why, you know, when you look at things from a Western perspective, you're more Western dominated in your thinking, and you haven't retrieved your own mind back yet in order to realize that your mind is an instrument for the ultimate you, okay, and or the ultimate I, and now you see your mind as a tool rather than identifying within your body as a creative vehicle. But that's dealing with more of a broader awareness that starts to unfold to one who seeks within for the truth of themselves, which is really exploring your own consciousness to return back to source realization. Okay, but reality. The point I'm making is that this idea of reality, what is real? Well, simplifying, where I just laying that little foundation just to kind of put things in context, yeah? Because you touch something, because you can see something with your fleshy eyeballs, that doesn't necessarily, all right, to the five senses, to the physical identified individuals or those who think materially, they would say, because I can touch something, this is what makes it real. And if I cannot see something, then that's not real. Okay? So so we breathe in and out, okay? We take in oxygen, which makes up, I think, about 23% of the gaseousness in the air. And you got nitrogen, you got right now, I can't recall all the other elements, but the point being is that we breathe in a substance that is invisible to us, and we can't see it. And breathing it in and out, you know you're breathing in and out because you can feel it, but you can't touch it, you cannot see it, okay? But yet, this invisible medium that is a medium for more than just oxygen, but the life force energy, right? We know that that exists, even though we cannot touch it, we cannot hold it tangibly, we cannot see it, okay? But we can feel it. Now, we know we can be, when the temperature drops, we can begin to see the air as mist or fog, okay? And that's because of the lowering or the slowing in vibrations. But then for that to make sense, one would have to be open, mentally open to accept the fact that you're an energy being and all is energy, all is consciousness. But folks who still think materially and depend upon their five senses alone to validate or verify what they conclude as reality to themselves, then some of these things have to be explained in this way. Because when you're dealing with reality and you think, well, reality is something, what proves something to be real is because I can see it. What proves something to be real is because I can tangibly touch it and hold it in my hands. Okay? Well, that is not what reality is based upon. Reality, from a spiritual or consciousness viewpoint, rather than, or a spiritual consciousness viewpoint more than a material thinking viewpoint, is that which comes and goes. Whatever comes and goes, okay, whatever is impermanent, whichever that actually changes, okay, over time, yeah, through space or in space, anything that basically comes or goes or changes is what is considered as unreal. It's a phenomena. Okay, you heard of this word phenomena. It's things, objects, whether it's a person, place, or thing. All objects, all forms, all things have their origin, or their, you can say, not origin, but they have a starting point. And if they have a starting point, they have an ending point. So all things, all objects actually exist in time and space, all forms. And if it exists in time and space, which our forms do, even thoughts, emotions, feelings, all of these exist within time and space, and therefore they have a beginning and an ending. So therefore, there's an impermanency to them. Yeah, it's an impermanency. Just like how you may see clouds forming in the sky. Huh? And they, the clouds build and you observe these clouds, But then, depending on the weather and so forth, you've observed how clouds form, become big, thick, and then eventually they dissipate and disappear and vanish. And now the sky is just clear, okay? So, like, thoughts are like that. They come and they go. Feelings can arise. Emotional states can be activated. And they rise, they come into experience and then they eventually, over a period of time, drift and disappear again. Okay? People's moods change, emotions change, feelings change, thoughts change, ideas change. You see what I mean? Your mind change. People say, I've changed my mind. You know what I mean? Your clothes change, your bodies change. Your cells change every 7 years in your body. And they're replaced by the type of thoughts, the nature of the thoughts that you entertain. Yeah. Your body cells that change every 7 years or so are replaced by the quality of thoughts and feelings that you entertain. Okay? So people's body change, and it could change from being very healthy into not so healthy, or it can sustain and maintain its health based upon the thoughts and feelings that those cells, those new cells, yeah, body cells are being built from. You see, depends the quality on how the change of your body changes. Does it change for the better or does it change for the worse? You know, but nevertheless, it's changing. Okay, and you change your clothes, you change your shoes, and all these things change. Well, everything that is within that category, that would be considered illusions. That's not reality whatsoever. And that's because what comes and goes can never be considered as real. It's only that which doesn't change. It's only that which is imperishable. It's only that which is incorruptible. It's only that which remains after that which comes and goes has came and went. That which always remains, that is what is real. You see? So reality takes on a total different kind of perspective when you start to deal with consciousness science of yourself. And, you know, you're coming out of this material thinking where even, you know, that has been challenged in the sense, as I said earlier, about matter not being solid. So there's nothing solid to anything, even though it appears to be solid. It's actually all energy, agitation of electrical particles that's being fused together to create elements which are made out of atoms. And then 99.13 other nines after that point, okay, percent of an atom is empty space. Empty space. Empty space. So we know, you know, what appears to be solid is made up of electrical particles fusing, bonded together, atoms making elements, elements turning into molecules, molecules turning into cells, cells turning into living organisms, okay, from a plant to a baby, okay. Then all of that being made out of atoms, electrical particles, still breaks down to be made up mainly of empty space. Empty space. Now, we ain't just talking about empty space like this little space now left behind after you've removed a table or a wardrobe or a cupboard or something, okay, out of that spot. And now there's this space there, right? There is an intelligence, there is an awareness that existed before there was even space. In fact, there is an awareness that observes that space, as well as the objects that were placed in that space, the objects that were moving around in that space. You see what I mean? There is that which also observes that space as it observes objects and things, okay? And that observer is formless. Formless awareness, which is which is actually within you, okay? Because right now you're listening to my voice. There's an observer of that. There's a perceiving. You're perceiving your awareness and observation of what you are, of your awareness is picking up on my voice, okay? And you're observing. There's a part of you that's just observing what it's hearing. There is your mind now, which is an instrument that's you can be listening with your ears or listening with your mind, I mean. And your mind is an instrument that it compares things, it evaluates, measures, weighs, it discriminates, it discerns, compares, as I said, you know, it compartmentalizes, it categorizes. You know, this is your mind, okay? Your mind does all of that. But your mind, there is also that which is observing your mind, or the thoughts that arises, or the ideas that surface, the comparison, the thinking, the measurement, the analysis. There is an awareness that's perceiving all of that that's going on in your mind right now. Okay? So now there's a question. What is observing then? Who's observing like you're thinking? And you're aware that there's an observer of you thinking. Yeah? You're by yourself. You pondering over certain, things inside of you. But there is an observer of all of that too. There's an observer of everything, right? That arises, okay, and then fades out. There is an observer of this. When I was growing up, there used to be we used to have the term the all-seeing eye, and you have this term about the Creator sees everything. But there's this idea that you're separate from this all-seeing eye, okay? Which this separation creates fear now, all right? But that's your mind that creates the separation. Because while you're thinking, and while you're aware of all of what's going on inside of your mind or inside your body, that there is an observer of that. There's that which is perceiving a sensation, perceiving an ache, perceiving a thought, perceiving a feeling, perceiving an emotion, perceiving an idea. There is an awareness of a perceiver of all of what is taking place within inside you, or when you're looking around at objects and people and places, there's still this observer. And this observer just observes. This observer doesn't partake or identify with what you're observing. Okay? There is an observer. And this observer is there. That observer was there before your body came into form, before your form was born, and the name given to it. And there'll be that observer throughout all your sojourn in this corporeal experience, and then there will be that same observer after your corporeal form has dissolved back into nothingness, so to speak. Okay, and all your thoughts and all your ideas and all of your attachments, while identifying with this physical, all your emotional attachments, physical attachments that symbolize the emotional attachments, or the places, or things, all of those things, right? After all of those things are gone, the awareness will still be there. The awareness that's present within you right now. So when we're dealing with reality, the thing is that in the ultimate sense of that which is real, it would be that which doesn't change, that which is what you had the term timeless or eternal, you know. But I think eternity still correlates with time. It's just that it doesn't end, okay? But what I'm saying is what's more transcendent to even that, even to eternity, is that it has to be timeless, which means that if it's timeless, it doesn't age. If it's timeless, there's no past and there's no future. Yeah? This awareness, this observer that's aware of existence, like you're listening to my voice and you're hearing the words I'm using, you're hearing what I'm talking about, whether you may mentally pick it up or not, whether you may mentally comprehend or intellectually not, there is still this observer of all of that. There's still a witness. There's still this perceiver of all of that. Whether oh, you disagreed. Oh, you agreed. Oh, I feel irritated about that. Oh, whatever. There's still a perceiver of all of that going on, right? So when we talk, so back to this all seeing eye. This all seeing eye is within you. So when folk even perceive, use this term all seeing eye and this eye seeing everything. Oh, God is seeing everything. You get some people who say that God is watching you, like He's not watching them too. And this idea of God sees everything, but it's like this separate, something you even to try to hide from. But how are you going to hide from that which is seeing everything that dwells within you as the observer? Not the thinker, not the mind, not the ideas, not the fleeting emotions or the changing moods. Moods, which is really what the word moon comes from, moods, which is why the moon actually is associated with your moods and feelings, okay? On an unconscious level, okay? As well as a conscious level, moods and feelings that come up to conscious awareness that you now are consciously aware of, that, starts to take on a life, right, of their own if you are identifying with those feelings as you. So here it comes back to this identifying thing. So reality. What is reality? As I said again, and you look at the word real, well, real, R-E-A-L, real. That word is also correlated with the word royal and blood. Yep. So why is real associated with blood and royalty? Royalty, reality. When you look at the word real, you got R-E, which can be pronounced as Ray, okay? And then you got A-L, And if you look into Syriac, when you talk about Arabic, A-L, al, means the or the. Yeah? And Ray, R-E, is another way of saying R-A-Y, Ray, okay? Or R-A, Ra. You see, where the roots of words come from before we're using them in the connotations we use them now. Those letters, those arrangements have an origin that goes beyond the language that's using and borrowing those spellings and those and terms today, okay? Now, ray is related to the rays of the sun, okay? And R-E in the English usage of words also means again, something that repeats itself. So that's where you get the word repeat, yeah? Or you have the word recharge, or to remember, or realign, okay? Or even in the word religion, which means to tie back again, tie you again, tie you back again. So the re is also re in its interpretation in English, um, means something that's repeated, something that's again, coming again, okay? But the phonetics, re, ra, re, yeah, these are all associated and related. So now we have real, and then we have reality, okay? And then you have what you call in a projector in the in the picture house, you've got a projector with a with a lot of film, which is wrapped around a reel, right? And then that reel is where all those images on that reel is being projected from the projector booth onto a screen in front of you. And then folk take what? The sound, the lights, the movement, the forms, the images as real. You see what's going on? People will say, that's real. That happens. Man, I've seen that before. Yo, that shit goes on, you know. Look at that. So now what's a projection on the screen? That is what's real. You see what's going on here? And it's a movie because it moves you. You see where it goes? You know? Emotion, energy in motion, energy is moving. And all is vibration. So everything is moving. Even if it's at the most subtlest rate of vibration, it seems is at the subtlest rate of frequency, it appears to be still, it's still movement. Okay? So you got this real. But what you're seeing on the screen ain't real. However, we're the ones, without awareness of something, it doesn't exist. Without awareness of something, it doesn't exist to whom is not aware of that of something that don't exist. Until they become aware of it, now it exists to them. Or it's real to them. Now let me put it a different way. It's real to them, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All right? But here's this. Back to this observer. Who is that? Who's observing the inner inflow and outflow of your breath? Whom's observing the thoughts that pass through your mind? Whom's observing your mind saying, hey, go over there and do this or do that? And then who's observing after you've listened to what your mind says, and then you do something, and then it may not be like, oh, no, I shouldn't have done that. Then your mind is saying, oh, you shouldn't have done that. After telling you, oh, go and do that. You know what I mean? But who's observing that, though? You see? Who's observing all of that going on, chatting, all of that chatting, that mind chatter, all of that inner voice, which is usually a critical voice, because it talks against, it talks more or less against your good. You know what I mean? That's why it's called a critical voice. A critical inner voice. Okay? But who's hearing that? Who's listening to that? Who's observing that? Who's perceiving that? You see? You see, this is, when we want to talk about reality and what's real, there's a deeper reality than the surface of what we look upon and then depend upon our five senses to validate in one way or another to say, hey, that's real. Because I can see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, touch it, you know? But just because you cannot see something with your visible eyes, it doesn't mean your physical fleshy eyes now, it doesn't mean it don't exist. Like using the air, for example, the air we're breathing, we breathe. Well, more times we don't see the air, okay? It's not something tangible, you know, that you can grab and put in your pocket, you know, go home and then take it out and say, yo, look at that handful of air I just gathered and brought home with me. You can't, you know, it's intangible, untangible, non-tangible. But you know it exists. You know it exists. So even in a finite way, you're interacting with what's invisible through the visible. You're interacting with a non-physical reality while it's interacting with the physical reality. Okay? Yeah? So just because you can't see something or you can't hear something, yeah, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I mean, people got pets, and the whole thing with the dog whistle, okay, and the different frequencies that cats can hear, and more time, other animals can hear frequencies that go beyond the fleshy eardrum. Yeah, what, 2,000 or 200,000, something like that. It goes beyond. Yeah, there's a limitation with the human ear, okay, but there's not. But where that limitation of your physical fleshy ear, where it comes up against that wall, then there's your dogs and there's your cats and there's your horses and your deers and other creatures that can hear way beyond what is audible to one of the five senses. Okay, so definitely what you cannot hear exists. Sounds you don't hear actually exist because other creatures with those senses to be able to tune into those frequencies, they pick it up. Okay? You have that which can see things you can't see. They can see in the infrared or thermal spectrum. You see? They can see beyond the visible spectrum, which just makes up like even smaller than, you know, the width or the thickness of your fingernail, you know, when you're dealing with nanometers or light spectrums, So what you're visibly seeing is a grain of sand in comparison to the bandwidth of that which is frequencies of sight. And there are creatures that can see things way beyond the visible bandwidth that the five senses, more time people are physically depending upon these five senses to interpret what is reality to them. You with me? What is real to them? You see? So this thing about reality, and when I was talking last Tuesday about the full moon in Aquarius and how there's a need to acknowledge one's inner unique light, and how the change in belief systems with Jupiter going direct now from after being in retrograde since April, and now it went direct the 11th of August. And then we have Uranus in Taurus, which is going retrograde at the same time that Jupiter went direct. And we're going to be having a full moon in Pisces, okay, on the 14th of September. That's a little while away. But you see, Jupiter going direct, things are moving, but it's like there's a readjusting in perception. But then there's a choice. People can choose to hold on to the old limiting perceptions that they've been of the past, okay, and expect those limiting perceptions to produce a new and different and more expanded experience than what's been previously been experienced already through holding on to the same perception, okay, of what they consider as reality. Now, some people believe that there is only one, they can't believe anything else. It's like they got a belief, and it's like they don't acknowledge that, well, you can change that belief. There's a whole heap of beliefs. Like, look at the amount of different marine life that's in the waters. Yeah? The marine life. You got a whole heap of different species of fish and planetary and plant life and all of that, right? And what I'm saying is that I'm using these variety of plant life to say, well, look at all these marine life in the ocean, for example. Say they were all beliefs, right? So if they were all beliefs, then there's this opportunity, and there's this possibility, and there's this reality, which shows you that you don't only have to hold on to the belief you got now if it's not serving you. And a belief's an idea. It's an idea that has been taken up, which shapes your perception to how you then experience what we call reality. Because the term, what you focus on, actually amplifies and grows. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And back to the fact that all is energy. Nothing's really solid. And this is now being proved scientifically, which is only verifying and not even validating, verifying and confirming and just repeating that which has been known from antiquity. And there is this erroneous idea that we get through science that everything in the modern day must indicate progress. Everything that was in times before, times past, that people weren't as civilized or people weren't as intelligent, and there wasn't that much of a progress and advancement in things back then as they are today. And I would completely differ with that, because it's so simple. Question then, well, build us them pyramids there you got in North Africa, and build them with the same precision and the same height and the same alignment to Orion's belt. Furthermore, go to South America and Peru and build one of them step pyramids with the so-called advanced intelligence. Yeah, this is modern man wants to say that this is what qualifies the time we're in now to be more advanced, in intelligence and awareness than was before this time. Well, if that's the case, you should be easily, with the technology and so forth now, to build, just even one of them pyramids. What says to build all three of them, the one in North Africa and the one in Peru, yeah, and other other things around the world, which is like, wow, how was that done? Okay, so you can't say that today, modern day, it's progress, we're more intelligent. That's a lot of, somebody's lying, and more time it's those who want to shape your perception of the world and Western world and science that dictate to you what is a fact and what is not a fact, what is so and what's not so, when more time, for how many 100 years, it's just been hypothesis. Okay? Wow, I'm moving off and going on in these different areas here. And whoa, I got a message here. What is it? Hey, who says any space is empty? And it's true, because there's an observer of the space, yeah. So therefore, even when we even have this idea that space means empty, space, yeah. Well, it's not empty. It's full of vibration. Even this emptiness we talk about, to be empty, you're really tapping into the formless state now, the formless existence, formlessness. Before there was form, there was formlessness. Yes, yeah, and formlessness is aware of its own existence. All right. And formlessness existed before form. In fact, it's formlessness which is the foundation and source of all forms. Just like it's the ocean which is the foundation and bedrock of every wave that is generated and emerges out from the ocean, each wave. So all forms are actually generated and emerges out from formlessness. So that good point when, just saying that who says space is empty anyway, that's very true because it's only material minds that's looking for objects. It says, I can't see no objects, I can't see anything, you see. So that space is perceived to be as empty. But that's if you're looking for objects, yeah. And before you have the objective, you have the subjective. In fact, when you are being so-called taught at school, and the word taught also means to tighten something, okay? I'm just on this flow today, so I'm dropping little things in the way as I'm flowing, saying what I'm saying, conveying what I'm conveying. Yeah, you're being taught a certain way, taught to think a certain way, taught to perceive things in a certain way. And also the word taught means to tighten, like somebody on a tightrope is being taut so tight, yeah? It's being stretched so tight, taut, okay? So your mind, so what you're being taught also tightens you up because you can't think outside or flexible enough to think a different way, to perceive something from another view that may be more expansive to the view you're holding on to presently, okay? Because you've been taught a certain way, all right? Or through repetition, certain things become habitual, and then it's like, that just kicks in automatically. But you're being taught that if there's no thing, then there's no existence. You know what I mean? So this is how the idea of space can be presumed or assumed that space is empty because it's empty of things. Even actually, let me go and say about this word black. You see how black has got lack in it. You got B, which is essence, and then you got lack. And usually when people go into meditation or when someone passes out, knocked out, or what they say, go unconscious, or they're having some altered experience in their sleeping state, so to speak, there is this depiction of blackness. Well, it was all dark. I couldn't see anything. You see what goes on? It was black. It was black. It was dark. So you look at black and you think, well, be lack. So when you think of black, black is one uniform state. And black is kind of is ubiquitous anyway. Black just seems to be everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You look out in space, it's just black. You know what I'm saying? The darkness or the void, or you close your eyes, and you don't have no external light source for your eyes to seek to focus upon, then your eyeballs turn inward back onto itself and you experience this darkness, this blackness, yeah? And even before you see a picture or something appear on a screen, there's blackness, okay? And then the image comes, whoops, okay? Even if it's a white dot or an actual colored image, but it always appears after the blackness, and then all images disappear and returns to that black, okay? Look at your TV screens, for example. It's like technology is mimicking the true nature and science of ourselves, okay? But instead of looking to ourselves for the authentic, we get caught up with technology, which is supposed to only be serving you rather than you serving technology. You get what I mean? Like your mind is actually a servant of consciousness and works with the body rather than you being a slave to your mind and your body. You see the difference? You see what I mean? It's like who is it that you say you is, And while so you got this lack, and black is black because the lack is not that black lacks potency, quality. It's it's the fact that the state of black lacks things. Whoa, it lacks things, meaning you can't see objects. Okay, you can't see objects. Okay, and when you're being taught something, back to this taught something, which also means that they're tightening and stretching, tightening your mind till it's like, oh my gosh, go snap, yeah. As well as so-called what you're being taught, yeah, as so-called knowledge and information. But the thing is, what you're being taught about what's real isn't really true. Okay? And so this black lacks subjects and things. But within the blackness, it's basically telling you that it transcends. It transcends. It's a state that transcends the material, where you're depending upon seeing some object. Yeah, something solid, something that appears like a thing. Okay? So you would look at black be lack, hang on a minute, black be lacking things. Yeah? And black is really a state rather than a color. It's a state. It's a state. It's a state. And that state is one of just neutrality. But then what you may project onto the black based upon what you're being taught to either fear it or love it will determine what now black represents to you. Whereas black is just a state. Yeah? It's a state that will show you that it lacks any preconceived imprints upon it. Yeah? But what you project upon it is what it will project back to you. So this is the reason why black can also be symbolized as people's fears, which is representing the unknown. The unknown. Huh? Representing that which is unfathomable to you. You know what I mean? Because it's unfathomable because it's too dark. I can't see. I can't make out anything in there. There's no comprehension. Oh, I need some light. Light as information. Yeah? That's what light is. Yeah? But that's just that visibleness that comes out of the invisibleness. You see? So why am I saying? I'm saying all of this. I'm going into all of, wow, I'm just flowing, you see? And it's about reality, okay? It's about reality. You got people very adamant about what they believe. And the thing is this. What you focus on and say, okay, I agree with the good, or I agree with the bad, or I agree with the indifference of either. Whatever you attach to. Now check this. I said about the observer, okay? The observer is never caught up in anything that's going on. What's coming, what's going, what's passing through, what has passed and vanished again into the void. The observer isn't moved, troubled. The observer is completely detached from all of that, while it's observing all what comes and goes, right? So what I'm saying here is, like, when we're talking about the nature of reality, in order to get a lot of this stuff, to expand your awareness, your consciousness, it's important to expand your point of view about you. Because science is telling you matter is not solid. So you look at your body, and before you be told, well, this is matter, look, it's matter. It's solid, you know. It's material. Matter. Matter is where you get matriarchal, material. So matter, material, is like, well, the material used to give form to something that's going to be worn. Okay? But worn by whom? Yeah? Worn by whom? And some of you all, you remember this movie, The Invisible Man. There was this old school version of it in the 70s, 80s, 70s, 80s, The Invisible Man. And now they've done more, refined, sophisticated takes, remakes on that movie, The Invisible Man. But if you look at analogies and you see, well, this invisible man was no longer visible to anybody around him, okay? So he had to create a prosthetic face, arms, body, to be seen. So you get Invisible Man, he would, had bandage all around his face, put a hat on his head, got his shirt and jacket and pants on his clothes. Now he's visible, okay? But these are the material being used to make that which is invisible visible, right? But who's wearing the visible or the material or the clothes? Whom's wearing it is truly invisible, truly formless. You get what I'm saying? Another way of saying can't see it, no form, yeah? Less form, yeah? So there's this invisibility, yeah? And hidden aspect. So, talk about that black now again. Why has it got lack in it? Huh? And, you can talk on this in different levels, but I'll just deal with it that on a metaphysical level, black is all light, absolute light. But what is light? They will tell you light is energy. Yeah, but there's different kinds of energy in the sense of different grades, like different grades of light. You know what I mean? But essentially, what we're talking about, light is awareness. Light is, like why they use a light bulb. So like when you get this, oh my gosh, wow moment. Light bulb, bing. Yeah, awareness. Okay? The light of awareness. You see? And awareness is intelligent. Awareness is conscious. Awareness has the nature of its own self. Awareness knows what awareness is. Awareness knows itself. Awareness is independent of things. Awareness is what enables you to be aware that something exists or aware of things. But awareness is aware of existence. You are aware that you exist. Just your awareness. We're not talking about the mind and intellect and how you think about it. No, just throw all of that out. Just be empty, of ideas. Empty of ideas. Empty of what you're being taught. Yeah. Loosen that tight mind. Let it go. Relax. Yeah. Let go of all ideas. Because that's what your mind carries. It's just ideas. And some ideas you hold on to and invest more strongly in than other ideas. And those ideas you invest more strongly into and charge and focus upon, will you transfer an energy to that? Now that becomes an experience as what you will call real, who's experiencing it for them. Yeah? Because as I said, what you focus on amplifies. What you focus on actually grows. What you focus on amplifies. Right? You're feeding something. You're feeding it with your attention. Attention. Attention now. It's like when you even got in the military. Attention! And it's like, whoops, if you drifting off, sleeping, boy, you better slap that out yourself quick. Attention. Want your attention, your focus. You see what I'm saying? Your attentiveness. You see? It's like you're giving life through your attentiveness to something that wouldn't have life without your attentiveness to it. So a thought is like an object, a thing, which would have has no life in itself unless the life source is paying attention to that thing. I hope you're getting what I'm saying here, because I'm trying to it's about coming out. You see, you see, the mind cannot find the truth because the mind is busy dealing with things. The mind is an instrument. The mind is an instrument. It weighs things. It compares things. It dissects things. It reasons over things, compares things. You know what I mean? Weighs, measures. This is the processing and the framework of the mind. It's a framework. Yeah. And then you got your physical body, which is a creative vehicle where the mind works with the body, because the mind impacts the body and influences the body. But then you got a state that is beyond the mind, which is moving into the spiritual plane, beyond the mental plane. And I've said on my show numerous times and on a previous few strongs back about the three great planes. But you see, what I'm talking about here is about reality. What is the constitution of reality? I've said that from a material mind or a material consciousness, way of looking at things, we believe that what we see, smell, hear, touch, and taste is real. And then I've said to you, well, just because you can touch a thing, that is not what necessarily denotes its reality. Yeah? Because what's the substance of that? You see, just because you can touch something, see something, hear something, smell something, that does not mean it's real. It means there's a temporary experience. There's a phenomena taking place, but that phenomena comes and goes. Reality from the spiritual perspective is that which does not come or go, that which does not change, that which is indestructible and changeless, that which is timeless, ageless. So therefore it can never grow old if it's timeless, you see. And there's no past to it and there's no future to it. It's always present, always has been, even before the form of your body came into being. Yeah. And this awareness I'm talking about now is what is observing your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your body, the sensations going on within your vehicle, the ideas, the cognitive, the process, and all of that mental function and operation. There is that which is just observing all of it and is no part of it. Okay? And that observer, that I, that awareness, that nothing, because it's empty of all of the ideas that people have picked up as you traverse through the world. You picked up some mental ideas, okay, about yourself, about other people, about what you think is real or not real, what you believe is true, not true, what you believe is possible, what's not possible, what you believe is, what the limitations you hold, yeah, in contrast to the unlimited reality of the limitations that people buy into, okay? These are all ideas. These are all ideas, okay? And there is that within you that just observes all of it, that exists independently of all of that. whose identity is not caught up in all of that, you see, in all of that which comes and goes. The more one's identity is attached to that which comes and goes, the more there's going to be emotional attachment and therefore emotional security issues based upon the objects, based upon the form, based upon the visibleness of something that indicates the presence of what someone uses that to symbolize for them, to feel secure. But all these objects, all these things that we consider as being real, permanent, aren't permanent. So actually, it's an illusion, only kept alive by our attention to it. The attention that's coming from the very life within you that has its own nature, has its own unique nervous system, has its own unique creative intelligence and nature about itself and of itself, and knows itself for what itself is. And then there's these ideas, programs, things held on to, impermanency that people want to make permanency out of. And through this holding on to what is considered as real, which then now the mind has all this fear of losing this object, whether it's a person, whether it's a place or a thing. The mind has ideas of controlling this object, whether it's a person, whether it's a place or a thing, The mind has these ideas about this object. So the ideas of this object gets projected upon the object to be a particular way, to fit a certain condition, to perform a certain way, And these are like, okay, these are imposed states, right, upon an object. But all objects come and go. People, places, things are impermanent. All forms come and go. All forms change. You see what I'm saying? So what is impermanent becomes a futile attempt to make permanent. You see what goes on? Because what's impermanent is impermanent. And while you're dealing with what's impermanent, you're to wake up to what's actually truly is permanent, what's imperishable. You got to wake up to who's that observer? Who's looking through your eyes? Who's observing and perceiving my voice and observing? And that's all it's doing. It's observing. Your mind with your ideas now, as the instrument starts thinking about what's being observed, okay? And then starts to project certain things upon, based on the idea, the judgment, the ideas you got about this subject, about this thing, okay? But the observer ain't doing none of that. The observer can, but it doesn't need to. You see? So what constitutes reality, I'm saying, isn't about what you can smell, hear, taste, and touch. Smell, hear, taste, touch. And what did I say? Smell, hear, taste, touch. Smell, hear, taste, touch. 4 senses. Can't remember the fifth one. What's going on here? Jibbity, jibbity, dee. And see. Sight. Excuse me. There you go. That doesn't constitute reality. And if you're trying to attach yourself to what's impermanent and then want what's impermanent to be impermanent, then not knowing the true nature of reality, it creates suffering. All right? All right, here's another thing. You got folks who would, a lot of this killing, a lot of destructive thoughts and, ideas being entertained that lead people to do violence or commit violence, atrocity, hurtful, painful things unto others, not knowing that there is a spiritual universal law of existence, which doesn't care about your conscious awareness of it or not, will return always back to what one has put out. It's just, natural law reflects that. You plant, what's the nature of the seed you plant is going to be the nature of what grows. That's inevitable. Okay? But some folk don't look to see how those principles, natural law, actually equates to the knowledge you are to have of yourself. So anyway, you got folks who will feel they needed, someone's been taken from them. They feel their emotional attachment, their bond, and identification with the object of their adoration, or the object of their sadness, that they have felt something's been taken from them, okay? So then you get those who then say, well, they come to some conclusion to say, well, I'm going to go and take away something from somebody else so they can feel that pain. But what's the objective of all of that? Is it just to make somebody else feel the pain you're feeling? Or do you think by doing what you're doing, somehow it's going to bring back that which you believe you've lost, the object? Well, whether you take somebody else's life or you take away something for someone else to now experience loss, it doesn't bring back and it doesn't remedy the pain, the feeling of loss. And, it doesn't bring back anybody. It doesn't bring back nothing. So that perception perpetuates more pain for the one who's dishing it out. Whether it comes today, tomorrow, or in another 10 years, it's still going to come. Unless there is a wake-up during this time and there's a change in the momentum of the direction one has been moving, heading in, what's being put out to what comes back. But this evening, this is about the nature of reality. And I'm putting things there to kind of say, look, question a lot of these ideas. I put it there because at the end of the day, it's going to come back. It's coming back to you. Who's this observer? Okay? Because when people talk about spiritual search, spiritual quest, and I've got to find myself and your authentic self and all of this about spiritual awakening and stuff, I mean, a lot of this stuff is just mind-filled. It's not really, it causes more suffering, more difficulty, this searching, I'm on a spiritual quest. I'm searching. I'm a seeker. Like seeking and searching. What are you seeking? What are you searching for? I'm searching for the truth. I'm seeking myself. I'm seeking who I truly am. Okay. And you're looking away from yourself in order to find that. Because you said it's yourself you're looking for, right? But you're looking away from yourself in order to find yourself. Like you're looking outside, away from yourself. You're looking for who you are. This spiritual seeking. People seeking for 10, 20, 30, 50 years and just getting so disheartened and mashed up because them can't find nothing. And the thing is that if you keep thinking that yourself, that you're seeking to remember is an object, then you'll always be seeking. Because who you is not an object. That's why I'm asking you, well, who's the observer? Who's listening, observing, perceiving the vibrations of words and frequencies of my voice, for example, all right? It has a frequency, it has a vibration. It's, you're who's observed, there's the observer of this. The observer of observing the faculty of hearing. There's the observer who's observed the faculty of thinking, observing the actions or the movement of sensations and energy, ideas. There's an observer of all of that. And that observer ain't moved by none of it. Just like the space. surrounding a form or an object or something. The space is there. You take the object away and now leave that space to not be occupied by any tangible looking thing. That space is undisturbed. That space is there. You know? In fact, it's the space that gives things their quality for you to be able to appreciate things, objects. You need to have a space to place an object in, a person, place, or thing, in order to be able to appreciate, the object. Space actually gives an object its quality. Just like the blackness of space gives all the stars and the nebulas and the planets their backdrop to shine, and express the radiations of those heavenly bodies. Can it be expressed on the backdrop of what supports it? That blackness, that lacks things. So therefore, it's not limited to being a thing. You see? So black represents hidden and unknown, and also that which transcends things. So if you're looking for a thing, to grab onto a thing, to hold onto a thing, to say, I found myself, I found it. Well, remember, things are impermanent. So things change. Things can be lost. Things can be taken from you. Things vanish, bro. Okay? So the more you attach or put identity into that which comes and goes, you see deeply in the emotional state, there's a fear, right? Based on what you're attached to. Now, who you are don't have no fear. So I'm saying all of this because it's about what is reality. What's the nature of reality? You see, you can hold on to something and that individual can say, this is true, this is real, this is real. So it becomes real for them. But not everybody is having the same reality. Not everyone is experiencing what someone else is saying is real for them. They're not necessarily experiencing that is real for them. Somebody else. People are having different experiences based upon what they're choosing to be real for them, based upon what they choose to believe. Now, your origin is a creative, intelligent source, which therefore means that within our inherent nature, we also are creative, having creative and intelligent consciousness, okay? Or there's a creative, intelligent force, okay? Or awareness within ourselves. That awareness is creative and intelligent awareness. But that awareness isn't an object. And what happens with people when they're trying to seek the truth with their mind, they get caught up in a whole heap of ideas, concepts. They're seeking the truth as an object when the truth transcends objects. In fact, when you are taught at school something, what do they call it? What you're being taught is the subject of what you're learning. Not the object, but the subject. You see what's going on, saying? And what is subject, eh? When that's what's deeper, that's what's submerged, something that's deep, within, subject, yeah? So you're dealing with now something that is direct. All right. You're dealing with something that now becomes felt internally at a subjective level, different to something that's objective. When you're being objective about something, you're not really associating yourself with it. It's less subjective and more objective. You know, let's have an objective point of view, shall we? Where there's no so where there's not so much emotional charge around such and such because of people's attachments or identification. Yeah, that is considered by the intellect to be um, is needed for there to be you to kind of to get to the facts of something without the encumbered they're being encumbered by emotions. Okay, that can, you know, distort perception. Yeah, you know, you hear that. However, this suppression of the emotions have got people hopping on one leg and feeling imbalanced, and why they feel, my gosh, you know, how do I get myself together? Because emotions is actually the energy that goes into mm, is the energy that actually brings things into actualization from no thing to something. So emotions are to be directed, not to be, again, emotions, not, you know, mind. These are to be servants. You know, when you say my mind, my emotions, my body, my, that means the my makes it limited and makes it owned. You know, when you say my mind, my body, my emotions, who owns it? Who's the my? Who's the possessor? You know what I mean? Who are you referring to? Who owns this to say this is mine? You know, I got a computer. This is my computer. Yeah, my computer. I'm the one who commands what happens to this computer. I pick it up, I use it. It's mine. I utilize it. It's an instrument. But I can identify whom the my is, who the I is that owns the what is what is being owned, what is being claimed, what is being possessed. My mind, my computer, my clothes. You know what I'm saying? Right? So we use this term when it comes to your mind, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas, your body, your clothes. You know what I mean? So whom is this that you talk that it belongs to? You see, there is this observer, okay, doesn't sleep, is all seeing, is all knowing, and it transcends form, it transcends objects. In fact, it's your pure subjective self. This is the subject that needs to be studied. Yeah? Why do they keep telling you when you go to study something that the course you're studying is also the subject matter? Well, you're the ultimate subject matter. You are the subject to be studied. I want to know who I am. Okay. That I am is the subject matter. Who I am. Who I is. Some folks say there's no I am, it's just the I. I will say, well, I am I. You know, we can get all pedantic on some of this stuff, but actually, you're still dealing with I, yeah, am. Am is existence, awareness. I is the isness, yeah, the identity, the awareness that knows, yeah, it exists. That is aware of existence, yeah. And existence didn't happen by accident, you see. Life and being did not come forth via some accident, okay? You're dealing with supreme creative intelligence. So this observer, to seek to know yourself is to seek to know the observer. And to be saying you're seeking to know yourself is really more that you're not even seeking, because what you're seeking is yourself. But there's been a dream, there's been an illusion casted over this self. where now what one is mistaking as themselves is an illusion of whom and what they believe themselves to be, which is separate from the self. So you create a duality. I'm looking for myself. I'm searching for the truth. So now there's you, and then there's truth. You know what I mean? And this truth of what? Truth of my being. So now there's the truth of your being, and there's that which is seeking it, which now believes it's separate from the truth of itself. So that becomes a duality. That's where all the sickness, that's where all the fear, that's where all the illusions come from, because it's your mind that believes in separation. In reality, you cannot be separate from yourself. You know what I mean? So really what it is, it's about waking up to who you truly is. Because you already, and you always have been, that which you're looking for. You are it. But it's the awareness of what that is and what you are. And this is why I'm saying, so what is the real nature reality? Because I can touch my arm, I look in the mirror, this is who I am. You got, as I said earlier, there is non-physical reality that exists alongside and permeates through physical reality. And then I said the word reality, people have these different connotations of what it means. But on a spiritual level, I'm saying that reality is really that which doesn't change, that which doesn't come and go, that which doesn't have a past and, oh gosh, it was in the past, so it may not be now, or it's in the future waiting to become something, or it's stuck in the past because of what it was. That is all illusion. That is not what's real. You know what I mean? That which is real always existed, always exists, always will exist. That it doesn't change, okay? It cannot be lost. It cannot come and go. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not something that can be found because it was never lost. It's something that can be remembered. It's something that can be recognized. Yeah? It is that which can be acknowledged. But it's not something that you need to find as if to say it was lost. You see, that's only the mind and the force identification of, you know. So I'm saying something to kind of like say, well, look, this is a way to kind of just like, look, come out of all this searching and all these false ideas about spirituality, okay, that makes a lot of people makes them depressed and get into too much externalization and, oh, I'm doing all this work and just when I thought I've done so much work, something comes again and caves in their ceiling, you know. And it's constant like, oh, you know, trying to better oneself, improve on oneself. That's all. That's the ego. That's the me. That's the fictitious self. Yes, that's this idea, which is an idea that you're not good enough. All right, I'm not enough. What are those ideas? They're ideas, and the observer observes that too, unmoved by it. So you need to get in touch with the observer, not the thinker, not the ideas and the contents in the mind, okay? Not that which comes and goes, even if it's pleasing. If it comes and goes, then it's just a phenomenon. I think LL Cool J back in the day did a track, Something Like a Phenomena. But that's just something like comes and goes. It's a phenomenon. Can't work it out. Or, wow, that's a phenomena. Yeah, phenomenal. Basically something that appeared that you don't understand where it came from and then disappears. And you still don't know where it's gone to. You know what I mean? That's a phenomenon. It's phenomenal. Yeah? That which is basically taking place within time and space. But you are beyond the phenomena. And it is not really through the mind one is going to be able to get to this awareness. See, the mind can't get there. This is the reason why when you get stuck in your mind and you identify with your mind, you're in a prison. You're just creating more illusions. You're dreaming, but you haven't woke up. You haven't realized the dreamer is you, and the dream is what you're dreaming, believing yourself to be, but you're not. Yeah. And as long as you forcefully identify with the illusions, the dream, the impermanence, then you'll be stuck in a nightmare, believing it's real, when in reality you're just asleep. You know, you're just. But internally, well, what's going on? But it's all a nightmare, and you want to wake up out of it. And that simply takes place when you remember yourself. And therefore, to give you a hint of what you are, you're not an object. So if you're looking for yourself in your mind to be some object, like another idea, then you'll never find yourself. When you are yourself, this is the thing. You are what you're looking for, but you are a mystery to your own self. Because instead of question, well, who's the observer? When the source of perception, yeah, you're caught up in the mind and force identification. And this is what the society does. It's even telling you now you got to seek spirituality, something outside of you. You know what I mean? When it's really more about waking up, remembering, oh gosh, what you already always have been. You don't have to go outside yourself anywhere to find yourself. You see? So a lot of people get caught up in more mental illusions and intellectual prowess and mental this, mental that. When the truth of yourself cannot be known mentally. You can mentally comprehend something, yes, okay. But it's only at the experiential level that you really know it. And it's about experiential now. And this is why your feelings, emotions, feelings, these are instruments for you to access that deeper depth of one's authenticity. So this show is about reality. What is reality? Put things out. What perpetrates, what is it that qualifies something to be real? Yeah. While at the same time, somebody else may say that ain't real for them. So you got reality, and what's classified as being reality is being classified on different levels, But what is the ultimate reality? You see, ultimate reality. Or what's the ultimate truth? Some people say no ultimate truth exists. And we can give power to wherever idea you want to entertain. Some people are given ideas to ideas they're entertaining that they rather wouldn't be entertaining, because the effects of what they're energizing is damaging their health. But they don't realize that it's an idea they're entertaining, identifying with, and giving life to. They don't realize that they are the life. And nothing has no life without your attention. Nothing without your awareness don't exist. You see? So who is this observer? Is a question, is a way of self-inquiry. Yeah? Who is this observer? This is the self-inquiry to get you past your mind, because the mind can't get the truth. The mind is an instrument of consciousness. So then you have to ask yourself, so am I the mind or am I consciousness? Yeah. You see? You see? So, so what are you is beyond an object. But if you identify yourself as an object, you will see others as an object. You see? Because you're going to be seeing through the lens you're looking through to perceive yourself. And see an illusion and take it for reality and project that illusion out onto others as well, because you're seeing yourself as an object, and therefore others are seen as an object, and therefore there's a limit to objects. You see? And the funny thing is, for something to become, before something becomes objective or obvious, it had to originate from the subjective. You know what I mean? It had to originate from the subjective plane to become objectified. So as long as you're looking for objects, you will miss it. And it's the mind that deals with objects. But in reality, you are pure. And this is the presence within each and every one, every team, is the pure, formless awareness of being. Pure, formless awareness of being. Now, intellectually or mentally, it may be like, oh, yes, so, you know, it may turn that into another concept and stuff. But the thing is that you can only know this experientially, not I mentally get that, but you don't have the experiential to make you really know that where you're speaking now from that, rather than talking about that. You see, mentally, you'll talk about something and think about something. You see what I mean? But when you are dealing spiritually, when you're dealing with the direct experience, which you all can have, but it's the mind that gets all afraid, little ego, because it means that it's this impermanency that wants to be permanent is afraid of dying, you know? And it's all an idea. That's all it is. It's just an idea. You know what I mean? You know, there's no reality behind it, but it's an idea. But if you identify with the idea strong enough, then that becomes what you believe you are. And then, you see what I'm saying? Giving life to an illusion. But the thing is that it's only through the experiential state that one comes to know thyself. Rather than thinking about thyself, you now think from thyself. You speak from thyself. You think from thyself. You experience from thyself, not thinking about, yeah, and talking about and skirting around and mentally hypothesizing. The mind cannot get there, which is why you got to go beyond the mind and realize your mind is an instrument just like your body, but the instrument for whom? You are an instrument for what? You are an instrument for pure awareness to experience its own self. So, I say again, who is this observer? Observing all of what you listen to, all of what's coming up inside of you, and doesn't identify with none of what's coming and going, rising and falling within you. You see, who you is infinite. Yeah. Fathomless. It's the formless deep. Yeah. The formless deep of the awareness of oneself. But you see, we always need to have something to hold on to feel stabilize, touch. Oh, I can see it, you know. I can touch it. This is what pertains reality, you know, this is what pertains reality to, you know, but anyway, looks like gonna have to tie it up now. Um, yep, yep. So people, brothers, soul brothers and sisters, um, this evening was about what is reality, what is the true nature of reality, and what and whom is the observer. Okay, what is reality, and who is the observer? Okay, in you, because we all have an observer. We all have a witness that is detached from all of what's going on mentally and physically, even emotionally. You see what I'm saying? And that observer was there before the form of your body was born and the name given to it. The observer is going to be there after your name and body dissolves back into the nothingness. And that observer has always been and always will be. Okay? When they talk about the witness in church, can I get a witness? Even when you're dreaming, who's observing your dream? People get so caught up in the residue of the image, the residue of, oh, I saw myself in this and I saw this person, I saw that, and you got all this, it's like playing out the same, it's just like the same thing you would play out in waking reality, your physical dream. You're having in a sleeping dream where you got all of this, all of that, all of this event going on, and really, who's observing? You see, he's like, we don't pay attention to, like, who's observing all of this? Who's seeing? Who's behind my eyes observing everything? But it's just observing and not involved in what's going on. Yeah? But has, directed power to change and select whatever you choose to focus on, when you wake up to who you really is, and acknowledge that your mind is an instrument and your body is a creative vehicle for who you truly and what you truly are. Yeah. Then life takes on a different type of shape and tone, So, yeah, anyway, it's about that time. It's at 10. This is something, I suppose this show is reflectiveness. It's something to actually contemplate rather than debate and mentally agitate yourself with or to copulate more ideas. You know what I mean? It's like, it's more about contemplate on this, because sometimes we quick to just think this and react with the mind, when it's like you're hearing something that really is a jewel for you to it's a gem for you to contemplate on. You contemplate on it to go beneath the surface, to get into the deep dive into your own self. When you start to intellectualize it, you are now, it's like your mind doesn't want you to find this truth that is right there. It's not that it's even hidden from you. It's your mind that's trying to deflect you from being still enough to contemplate a eureka moment. You know what I mean? And then it comes in again with its noise, and it comes in again with its ploys, and you forget that this is an instrument, and now you are the servant to an instrument that you are to be the master of. So the relationship's all whacked. So, yeah. And then this, I use the word relationship to get back into the harmonious relationship with ourselves, where we realize we are the divine oneness rather than a duality having a struggle with opposition inside. That's how many people are experiencing themselves. So, yeah, what is reality? Huh? And whom is the observer? This is my question on the show tonight. Cosmic roots, the cosmic reality of one's true self. And actually, through what I've said throughout this evening, I've actually said what it is. But sometimes we don't see what we get, you know? Sometimes we don't recognize something for what it really is, you know? You know? So we don't, so we just all bypass it. Like, oh, you get some people that says, I just want someone to tell me exactly what to do. And they're told, and you'll be, and all the time that they're saying that, they have been told what to do. But they can't hear it because their mind's in the way. And so they still go on like they haven't heard, I haven't been given the answer yet. No, you haven't told me what to do. You haven't told me the answer. When the answer's been told to them. But the mind deflects it. They're caught up in something else about what the mind expects it to be. When I told you already that your mind can't get this. You got to feel your way into this, you see. So there's many who have received the answer and it's just gone over their head. Here's that term, over their head, because they're thinking and trying to get it with their head rather than with their heart. You know, you get a lot of people trying to get, they think they can obtain the ultimate truth, their mind, rather than through direct experience, hence why the heart, yeah, you know, so is the way. But then you're being told, oh, your heart, oh, the heart is deceptive and all of this, which it can be, because if you do hold, if you don't hold that which is good in your heart and you choose to harbor other than what your heart is the house, then your heart will give form to your wildest fears as well as your wildest dreams. You know what I mean? So the heart has to be guarded, just like a gardener has to guard his garden. A gardener has to guard his garden. So only that which the seeds, the nature of the seeds he desires to be planted for those trees to grow in his garden are grown and sown and grown. If he falls asleep, then weeds, other things could be sown in the garden which he was unconscious of. And now he's got, stuff strangling, being adverse to all the good in his garden. So the heart is something that can be deceptive because it's a way of saying that its ways are so mysterious that you can't seem to fathom and figure it out. You see? You gotta understand allegories and don't take everything literally. So then this is the reason why some people say, oh, you can't trust the heart. Can't trust the heart. Huh? Look how deceiving the heart is. And it's like, what it's saying is that it's not deceptive as in it's there to lead you astray, which is how it gets interpreted. The deceptiveness is that it's hidden, like your subconscious, your submerged, yeah? It's hidden. And the ways of its workings are hidden, mysterious, okay? So therefore, the power, it also says, guard thy heart, or watch thy heart with all diligence, because out from your heart comes the issues, springs forth the issues of all life. Yeah. So, the correct interpretation is they're saying that, listen, man, what you allow to be impressed upon your subconscious, the feeling aspect of your nature, is what is going to be felt as true and then it's gonna be brought into actualization if you are feeding that feeling. You are holding on to that feeling in your heart. So a gardener wants to sow good seeds. He doesn't want to sow unwholesome seeds. So we sow wholesome thoughts in alignment with our true self, which is whole, is one, then we only get this, all of that which we, all the good we desire, yeah, materializing or actualizing within our garden. But if we're going to sow seeds of discontent, destruction, violence, seeds of error based upon believing you're separate from your source of being, you know, like believing the wave is separate from the ocean and the ocean is separate from the wave, when it, nope, 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 no, 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 it's actually a oneness there. But forced perception can give the idea of separation even when separation don't exist. So as long as you're giving juice to that and that to be a reality for you, you will have that experience. But it's all about what's the nature of the seeds you choose to impress upon the soil, fertile soil of your consciousness, to give rise to. And really, it's either wholesome thoughts or unwholesome thoughts. You see what I'm saying? Like you got wholesome bread and unwholesome bread, you know? And wholesome means healthy, and unwholesome means you're unhealthy. So your natural state is wholesomeness, but unnatural state is separation, duality, and antagonism, and oh gosh, struggle with opposition. So, yeah, who's there laughing? I got somebody in the studio there listening, y'all. But this has come to the moment where I'm having to say, yeah, I'm going to wish y'all a good shadow hour and so forth. Enough to contemplate on this evening, because this show is really, what is reality? What's the nature of reality, and who's the observer? Because if you come to know the observer, you will know who you are. But if you're looking for an object as the observer, then you'll be mighty far away from that which is right there in your presence, and you will not know it. You see, you got to transcend the limitations of your mind. You got to understand that just because something you see, smell, hear, and taste, you know what I mean, is what your five senses are translating as being real, you got to broaden your awareness to realize that, look, the non-physical reality, y'all, is more real than that which you can tangibly see or touch. And using the oxygen, the air we breathe, as a tangible, as I would say, no, a finite example, limited example, but I'm sure you get it. Okay? So, before form was formlessness. And before time was timelessness. And before age was agelessness. And before past and future was just the now, forever, eternal now, ever living now. So contemplate on those ideas, food for thought, as they say, and I will bid you a good shadow hour. And yes, expect the best, accept the best, desire the best, and know that you deserve it of the best. And that best I'm referring to is nothing to do with comparing anything external to you with anything else. It's just understanding the quality of yourself. Yeah. And the ancient Kemet, Best was actually a deity, another faculty of perfume and beauty, and best. Bast. So, and that's feline. So it's aligned to the feeling principle within, you know, the feminine, the reflective principle. So, okay, I'm saying I'm wrapping it up, and I said I'm wrapping it up 10 minutes ago, and 10 minutes I'm still here. So, it's going to be a good shadow hour from I, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side, and Yes, just what is reality? Just contemplate what is the nature of reality. Yeah. And who and what is the observer. Yeah. Catch you next round. Okay. Good shout out, everyone, and all.